Hi everyone, I'm Alice, the Vice President from Taika, and it's my pleasure to join everyone here to launch the second stage of this program. And the program is Taiwan Friends XR Day. The first stage of the program ended successfully in June, and prior to the New Image Festival in France, and the selected XR talents in Taiwan is all here. And more importantly, today we have 12 outstanding French talent online, and we shall invite you to introduce yourself, and then we can get to know each other, and maybe you can facilitate cooperation in the future. And we know the content productions using the technological application have attracted XR talents to this field, just like you guys. And those who have been selected to this program are not only the top talent in the discipline, but also come from diverse background. So in addition to the immersive content producer, there are also professionals like film director, filmmaker, or animation producer, or the engineers, and so on. And so this stage, in addition to the exchange activity, we have also matched French talents one-on-one with key figures and businesses in Taiwan immersive content industry. And Taika also welcome all of you to submit your proposals and to our immersive content grant, immersive content program, and for the international co-funding and co-production scheme. Shortly after this event, Taiwan Creative Content Festival, we call it TCCF, will be open this weekend. We welcome all of you to participate. And as for our French partner, we also invite you to register online to keep in touch with us. And finally, we look forward to hear your great news of collaboration, and Taika will give you full support. And thank you, and wish everyone a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. This year's in the programs, originally we were supposed to bring all the professionals from Taiwan to France in June, and also all the French professionals coming from France to Taiwan in November. Unfortunately, we have to switch to online format this year, but hopefully that we will have a physical event next year so we can go to France and go to Paris to see new images festivals next year's happening in June 2022. So now we would like to invite the director of New Images Festivals, Miguel, to give a sneak peek of what will happen in 2022 in the 5th editions of New Images Festival. Miguel, you may be muted. Can you unmute yourself?
We are very delighted to make this second stage now, and to put on and to have online connection. Of course, we regret that we can make it in real life, but we know we can make for the next edition. Welcome to the second stage of Taiwan Friends Day, and thank you, Taika, for all the organization. Just a few words. So we know now the world is changing and changing fast. And during the last few years, cultural and creative industry has been deployed and transformed with the emergence of immersive content. Everybody knows, and everybody here in recent weeks, we have a lot of announcements about immersion and virtual world, and it's a target. It's a new target for a lot of people. Now we are not alone, and we can build together a new axis between Taiwan and France. Just a few words about Taiwan. Since first edition, the New Images Festival has always a special and privileged relationship with Taiwan. We begin with Cao Zhang and friend of French office in Taipei, and now we build a strong, very strong partnership with Taika. In my opinion, Taiwan is one of these countries at the forefront of art creation, and we have a strong attraction, cultural attraction and technological attraction. And we think also Taiwan, it's a model, and the international development for new images is also a model. Our partners are now very close, and we are not only for business, but also we become friends to build a new axis. We create opportunities and career like now, and out new initiative to offer you a fertile ground to develop, innovate projects. The model of Taiwan partnership is a model for all the new partners that we make, like in South Africa, United States with a new residency, and Italy with Villa Medicis, and tomorrow Canada. We think it's the best model, the model of co-creation of on va dire days, and have the opportunities to meet the people to build a new co-production tomorrow. Just a few words about New Images. New Images, it's an entirely dedicated festival for immersive content and new and future storytelling. We build in 3 axes. The first is residency, and we can be happy to launch a new residency with the MIT for 2022, with the Villa Medicis for 2022, to offer the best residency for all the co-producer and author. We create also a marketplace, industry days, public day, and educative day. And we think it's the best thing. We continue to explore the new talent, the new territories, and make all for the democratization of this new technology. And we are happy to have around 10,000 people each year for that. And the last year, this new edition take place in Paris and online for June 8 to 12, and various schools for projects will be launched. We sincerely invite you to join us next June. And in the meantime, I hope you will enjoy this second and very important Taiwan-France XR Day. Thank you for all your attention.
Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you.
I hope we'll get to see you in person in June 2022 at the 5th edition of New Images Festival. And also in Taiwan in November this week, actually, we are having the Taiwan Creative Content Festival here in Taipei. So now we would like to invite Taika's Global Business Director, Leo Lee, to give us a preview of what's happening into this year in TCCF.
Okay, good morning to our friends in France, and good afternoon to our friends in Taiwan. Welcome to the second stage of the Taiwan-France XR Days. My name is Leo. I'm the Acting Director of Global Business in Taika. And it's our pleasure to introduce you a brief of Taika and what we have been doing for the future content, or we call the XR. 下一页。 And this is what we're trying to show you about, or say something about the Taika and the vision and the strategies and what we're doing with the industries. 下一页. The Taiwan Creative Content Agency, we also briefly called Taika, is an independent agency that is established by the Ministry of Culture in 2019. And Taika supports 10 different types of cultural creative industries, including the film, televisions, publications, ACG, fashion design, visual and performing art, and of course, the cultural technologies. The mission of TAICA is to promoting the content development and production, as well as the expansion to the international market. 下一页. In order to fulfill our visions, and TAICA has already applied 3 strategies to help industries to reach our goals. The first one is industrializations. We try to build in a healthy ecosystem for business. The second one is internationalizations. It is trying to promoting Taiwanese brand into the global market. The third one is integrations. By encouraging cross sectors and cross-country cooperations, we wish to maximize the value of cultural content. With all of the 3 strategies, TAICA wish to help the cultural content industries involved into a critical Taiwan industries and try to navigate all the content to the world. 下一页. After a brief introduction of TAICA and our strategies, let's take a closer look at our TAICA's supporting system for the XR or the future content. As you can see from our diagram, there are total 4 stages to encourage and to support the future content. From the very beginning, the integration of ideas, we will provide a different type of lectures and workshop to try to show you what is latest international trend and what is a new way to telling the stories. And of course, the newest technology can be your tools to create your new product. And in the second stage, we will provide funding for the prototype of productions. Once you have proved you have nice ideas, then you can apply a small amount of prototype fundings. We will try to help you to explore new possibilities and new ways of telling the stories. So after your prototype is being tested, being proved that can be accepted in the business and can be accepted in the real market, we'll give you a second stage of fundings. It will help you to create from your original ideas project to the product that can be sold or can be sold in the market. And in the third stage, if your product is proof is business or proof is services in the international market, then TAICA will also provide the marketing resources to help you to go into the international festivals, or you can show in TAICA's flagship events, TCCF. Will provide you more exposures to your products. And in the final stage, if your team has already found a sustainable business model to prove your team can be a nice companies, and TAICA also support to create a startup accelerating program to help you make your business dream come true. 下一页. Okay, due to the limit of time, I don't have time to explain everything. So I can only simply introduce one project that has more closer relationship to you. And for the second, the one is the international co-production and the co-founding grants. And for the second one, the Taiwan Friends XR Days, I will save it for our international advisor, Liang. He will introduce you more details. 下一页. The XR grant is a 3-year grant that trying to support the international co-founding and co-productions. It try to help to explore the content creators and try to explore new ways to telling stories and try to explore a new market. And finally, we wish to develop a new immersive contents ecosystem in the international. And you can see in from the 2020 to 2021, we have already support 10 different projects. And the genre is very diverse. We have supporting a 360-degree VR films. We're also supporting interactive games. We're also supporting a virtual galleries that feature with very famous Japanese artists. We're also supporting AR children book and the soundtrack. And this book can be purchased as an NFT properties. We also support the projects you can experience without the VR headset. 下一页. Besides those international or co-production projects, TAICA also supported domestic projects. As you can see, there are 2 cases that I was going to show you. Sansara, it is a VR film about the reincarnations. And this project is very successful. It also won an award of South by Southwest for the best VR story. and also win the Cannes VR competitions. And also selected by the 78th Venice VR Film Festivals. Another project I would like to show you is a Sick Rose. It's another very interesting project. This is the first one in the world trying to use VR technologies for the stop-motion animations. And this project is cooperate with a very famous world company, HTC, with the local animation production studios, Turn Rhinos. And with these two combinations, they're trying to show the relatable value combining with Taiwan's traditional craftsmanship with the latest innovation technologies. And in total, Taika has already invested 200 million, equal to $7 million US in the feature content since 2020. It proved the commitment from Taika in supporting the future content development. 下一页. The next one, I would like to show you something about the flagship event, what we call the TCCF. It's Taiwan Creative Content Festivals. It is the annual flagship event of Taika. It will including three main areas: the market, the forum, and the expo. All of the three elements will be happen in both virtual and in-person activities. The market will showcase the excellent content of film, TV, and animations, and try to target the international market. We also invite different industries such as publications, performing art, comics, and games, trying to seek the opportunity to adaptations to different kind of business opportunities. The forum invite very famous international experts from all over the world to discuss the latest international trend and the business opportunities and IP adaptation and more. And finally, at Expo, showing the cutting-edge immersive content project from teams and artists worldwide, and demonstrating the next stage of future content through those innovating technologies. 好，下一页. Among all of this exciting activity in TCCF, I would like to emphasize two important elements that we're trying to connect TCCF to the real market. The first one we call is IP Meetup. It is new platform that assembles all type of creative content IPs from Taiwan. It can be a film, it can be a television, it can be a publications. With all these different kind of IP within this platform, it can extend the physical marketplace in a digital platform. Will allow you to facilitate the commercial collaborations anytime, anywhere in the world. And the second one I would like to introduce is the 5G VR cloud. And thanks to the VR high-speed technology and network, it can streaming high-quality VR content from cloud directly to your living room anywhere in the world. It also demonstrates the cooperation among Taika, the telecom companies, the hardware vendors, the museums, and the content providers. We try to create an imagination of future entertaining and try showing the potential of business models. This is a brief introduction of Taika and what we're trying to do in the TCCF. So the above is my simple introductions, and I wish you all enjoy this 2 days event. And if you have time, please don't forget to join our TCCF activities online. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. And now, after explaining about TCCF and what's happening this week, we'll also invite our advisors, all Helium Chandler, to introduce you about what's happening in the next 2 days in XR Day.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Aurélien Dirler. I'm an advisor to Taika. In the past 5 years, even before joining Taika, one of my main focus has been connecting the French and Taiwanese XR ecosystem. So some of you, maybe most of you, know me already. I did a long and detailed introduction on the state of the Taiwan-France relationship in XR during the first stage of the XR days. So I won't redo it today. I will be much shorter, and the introduction is still online anyway. So this is the second stage. This is a project we started working on about a year ago. And this project was born from a simple idea. Actually, it was born from the feedback of some people from the industry, including one of the participants this time, Thomas. After a few years of successful collaborations between France and Taiwan, a few people, including Thomas, told me that maybe what we need is some sort of an alliance, because we need to identify a wide range of talents, and we need to put them together so we can better connect them and better promote them as well. And that was true. At that time, we did realize we needed a mechanism and we needed a system. And this is how this project is born. It's born from both the feedbacks of the industry and also an intuition at Taika. The feedbacks, so that's this need to identify players, talents, but also more diverse skills and do some sort of an inventory of the resource we have, especially here in Taiwan. And we needed for that a tool, a platform, a system, a mechanism to connect them. And the intuition at Taika was that future content will be increasingly diverse. And for this type of future content, we need more diverse skills to create such content. And we need a way to connect them. And we need a way also to facilitate communication between people who may come from different backgrounds, different sectors, or to connect different ecosystems who may not speak the same language. And what we've seen in the last few months actually confirms those trends. I mean, this workshop is not exactly what we hoped it would be. I mean, we hoped that we would be able to meet in Paris last June, in Taipei, this November, especially with TCCF. But as much as we wish we could meet in person, I would say that the experiences that we've seen remotely are more live, they are more embodied, and they are more social than ever. So this is, of course, very much reflected in the discussions around the metaverse in the past few months, in the past few weeks, especially now that everything is accelerating, and the many industry announcements and the theme of TCCF this year. But this is also reflected in the way the platforms have been evolving and the tools and the technology itself, which is changing the way we produce content, the way we will distribute it, the way we will monetize it, and the way it will be consumed. So as experience become more diverse, we need to bring people together from different backgrounds, give them a chance to connect organically. So this is why this workshop is a bit different from other platforms that you may have encountered, applied to, participated in other festivals, because we don't actually expect the participant to have a project. What we want is them to have a motivation and to have skills, skills that other participants may not have, may not be aware of, and this is why this is going to work organically. At the same time, like as Michael said, New Images has strong connections with Taiwan since the first edition. We've been discussing with Michael for the past 4 or 5 years about how can we better connect the two ecosystems, the two countries, the two industries. And we've seen that the project that happened, it worked this way, encounters, sometimes by chance. And this is what we try to do with this workshop. We try to give you an opportunity to meet people that maybe you would have never met in other circumstances. And so we want to also accelerate the opportunities, including for business. So yes, I hope in the end that, as Thomas said, this project will end up being some sort of an alliance or a family, and that it will be a long-term project. And the idea is that really the people you meet this time, you will get the chance to meet them again and keep in touch. And yeah, that's very much the idea of this project. So in the next hour, you will meet 12 French talents selected for this stage. And then we will have a case study around Missing Picture Episode 2, Timing Liang, with the Taiwanese director and the producer. We had similar conversation around co-production during the first stage, but that was very much focused on the French side. So this time we feel it's time to get the Taiwanese point of view, and of course Estela is the best person to discuss this. She was the first one to do a co-production in VR with France. That was already several years ago, and she's still working with many, not only French professionals, but professionals from all around the world. So we hope she can share insights and feedbacks on experience working with international partners. And this discussion will be followed by two very short panel discussions. The first one on distribution, because distribution, of course, is a key issue, especially for this industry. And we'll be very lucky to have with us Camille Lopato from Diversion Cinéma. She's probably one of the most important person in terms of distributing VR content. And she will be speaking with Grace Lee from Kaohsiung, so Kaohsiung Film Festival, Film Archive, and the VR Film Lab. The second panel will be about platforms, virtual worlds, and the metaverse with XR Space for the Taiwan side and VR Room for the French side. And the idea is really to talk to the creators that you are, so to talk more about the tools that are available and to give you some insights on, what's the status now, what can you use, where are we going. And tomorrow will be the important day that will be behind closed doors. That will be the one-on-one meetings. So yeah, I think it's time to start now. I wish you all a very good workshop.
Thank you, Aurelios. In June, when we introduced our 13 Taiwanese professionals to friends, some participants said they were pleasantly surprised to see what is available and capable in Taiwan. So now it's our time to be pleasantly surprised by our French professionals. It's time for us to listen to what these 12 professionals in France has to offer to us. Now we hand over to my colleague Sally back there, and in the next hours we'll listen to all these professionals. Each one of them will have 5 minutes, and we'll also ring bells to remind you when there's 1 minute left.
Okay, so let's welcome our first talent, Lynn Akamatique Rusena.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lynn. I founded Gengis Khan Production in 2012. And the first 2 years, I produced a dozen of short films and series for the cinema and the web. Then I discovered VR. I thought there is no frames, no shortcuts anymore. Movies are not the best toolbox to imagine stories in VR. But performing arts are, because of its know-how of space and how to conduct the attention of the viewer. So in order to develop intimate and immersive stories, I've brought together an hybrid team of people from cinema, performing arts, specialized sound design, choreography, and we reinvented together our tools and production methods. Now I develop the immersive creation of Laurent Bazin, a stage director, former fellow of Villa Medici, and the movies of Mathilde Lavenne, director, Golden Nika 2018. I also collaborate on multidisciplinary musical projects, including immersive creation with the famous French artists Rhône, La Horde, and Nova Materia. My very first production in VR, The Cliffs of V, of Laurent Bazin, is a narrative live performance using VR, and it has been performed in many countries across the world, from Hong Kong Art Center to FIBA Buenos Aires Festival, and it's still on tour 5 years after its creation. And I would love my new production to travel the same, so today I'm here to present you 2 projects in particular at different level of production, and I'm looking for partners and programmers. The first project is called The Baptism. It's a 1-hour immersive story between theater and VR, created at Le 104 and presented this summer during Avignon Festival. It's a breathtaking anticipation thriller between live performance and virtual reality. And here is the pitch. Tortured by guilt, a man enters the police station and asks to be arrested. He says he's convinced he has committed a crime but cannot remember it. A strange guest, a real comedian, invites us to revisit the man's memories. He's doing the voiceover during all the VR experience, whispering in her ear, and he comments step by step this dive into another subconscious. In the first part of the show, the spectator settles on seats with immersive technologies combining virtual reality and bone conduction of the sounds. And in the second part, we are invited to take place around a swimming pool for a very unusual purification protocol. And we both think, Laurent, Bazin, and I, that the Taiwanese public will love this show, and we would love to adapt it with a local actor and the partnership of a venue or a festival here in Taiwan. The second project is called Xpukil. It's a 40-minute full dome show that will be created next autumn at LASAT Montréal. It's a proposal by the Franco-Chilean electro group Nova Materia in collaboration with the visual artist Mathilde Lavenne. It's inspired by a trip of the group in the Mexican jungle. The Xpukil track has become a binaural sound piece that is currently performed at La Gaîté Lyrique in Paris. And at LASAT, it will be interacting with the cosmogonic visual universe of Mathilde Lavenne. On stage, Nova Materia manipulates live stones, pieces of metal, gong, percussions, infrabass, ocarinas, and transformed jungle sounds. And in accordance with the sounds and the musical intentions, image and digital construction will be produced live and evolve as a rhythm of the music. The spectator, who can be seated, lying down, or standing, will be stimulated by different sounds and visual techniques, and they will dive into a dimension with a strong physical impact, experiencing this trip into Mexican jungle and almost the shamanic trance it creates. So the musical immersive part is already produced, and we start now the development of the visual part of the experience. And the project will be performed both as a live performance and an installation. Will be presented at LASAT in autumn 2022 during 1 month. And we would love to show this work in full domes in Taiwan too. So I'm looking to ventures that could be interested in the project and get their feedbacks on the full dome creation here and maybe build early co-production. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Next, we have Hugo Arsec.
Hi. Hello, everyone. So I'm Hugo Arsec. I'm an artist in different disciplines. I'm making films, documentary, photography, draws, and also it's our project installations. I just finished kind of production company of school named Le Frénois in France, with a project of immersive visit, immersive journey in the underground of Paris. And so I'm here with a new project who bring me to scan other undergrounds in the world, and so I'm looking for collaborators and financement. The collaborators who can help me in this project are producers, interactive professional, in development or real-time interactivity, in 3D scan and in planetarium dome. So what brings me here also is then I used to live in Taiwan a few years ago, and so I already love this island and the culture. So I'm happy to be here, and I would like to make one of the chapter of this new project in Taiwan, maybe, or to think about it. One of the chapter will be making in France with the help of Chronique, Biennale of Digital Imaginary, and I'm looking for another a way to make it in Taiwan, maybe in the cave of Taroko, with a place with and underground tunnels in Taiwan. I don't know if I'm very understandable. The project is it's to scan undergrounds in different places and propose the people to go in and to discover places that we are not used to see. And the narration of the project is kind of documentary, so it will adapt to story and mythology from each place and each location. Voila, I think I made the round. I was a bit quicker.
Okay, thank you, Hugo. Next, let's welcome Albert Barbu.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Albert. I'm a creative technologist working for museums and artists. I develop interactive experiences for institutions such as the Science Museum, the British Library, and the Natural History Museum in London. And I also help artists develop mixed reality works. I'm part of Studio Yambitam, an art practice exploring invisible realities, deep ecology, and human and non-human consciousness. I carry out R&D and experimentation on new materials, processes, and technologies. I often collaborate with scientists to inform the work, which is often experiential rather than narrative. It is often not narrative, actually. We sit somewhere between art and video games. We have an ongoing VR project called 7100 AD, which is a speculative video game about the lives of wild bees and plants on Earth after humans, which was selected for the Left Field collection of EEGX Res in 2020, and which we exhibited at the Lewisham Art House in London this summer. We also created a piece called Deep Dive for the Foundation for Arts and Creative Technology in Liverpool. Deep Dive is a psychogeographical exploration of the deep sea where your progression is determined by your own brainwave activity. The piece uses EEG sensors to monitor your levels of attention and relaxation in real time. This encourages players to take control of their state of mind and find stillness, to descend deeper through the multiple layers of the ocean, discovering a wide range of sea creatures and how marine habitats are affected by human activity. We also create immersive sound and sculpture installations that function as garden spaces for reflection, where we host live guided meditation sessions. So whether they're physical or virtual, our spaces are performative in essence. It's the user who performs the piece, and by doing so, reflects and considers their relationship with the outside world. So I hope this helps to give an idea of the work that I'm doing. In terms of the XR ecosystem, I look forward to seeing it diversifying in the years to come, with more spaces where artists can meet audiences on a more intimate level, with independent distribution platforms and independent curatorial platforms. And in this sense, the young and dynamic community of Taiwanese XR professionals is very inspiring to me. And Taiwan seems to be a fertile ground for supporting, developing, and showcasing experimental art. In terms of professional development, I'm looking to meet new partners who'd be interested in working with us to produce and distribute artworks. So producers, other programmers, sound artists, grant writers, but also curators and venues to help us reach a wider audience as we're looking to expand internationally. So yeah, I'm excited and honored to be part of this workshop, and I'm very happy to meet you all.
Thank you, Albert. We're happy to have you as well. Next, we have Arnaud Desjardins.
It's me. Do you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Arnaud Desjardins. I am co-founder and creative director of Femme Fatale Studio. Femme Fatale is a creative studio founded in 2016 and dedicated to interactive, audiovisual, and immersive experiences. We mainly work for culture and entertainment. So firstly, we create and produce multimedia installations for museums and cultural institutions, both in France and all over the world. As part of permanent or thematic exhibitions, we build educational or entertaining content in the form of multimedia installations, digital information media, or interactive experiments for the public. For example, we collaborate with the Louvre, the Oman Across Ages Museum that will open next year in the Sultanate of Oman, and also the National Museum of Norway. And in parallel, we craft animation and graphics for TV documentaries. And finally, we produce, write, and build our own VR experiences. So this year, we finished our first homemade project. So this year, we finished our first homemade project called Dream Builders, which is supported by the CNC and the City of Paris. So Dream Builders is a poetic and animated journey that invites you to discover architectural utopia monuments that were never built. Based on this concept, we'd like to develop a collection with multiple episodes. The idea is to broadcast it in museums or libraries. We have found a French publisher for the first episode, and we are currently having discussions with French museums. And we'd like to build another episode specifically for other markets, like Taiwan, for example, and the Taipei Palace Museum more specifically. We are currently working on a second VR project, which is very different from the first one. It's no longer documentary-based, but more a real mainstream fiction. Today, we are participating in the Taiwan XR Days program for several reasons. On the one hand, the Taiwanese market seems to be more mature than in Europe, with more public interest in XR projects, and especially in VR. We'd like to understand the XR Asian market and which projects are the most popular with the Taiwanese and Chinese public. Secondly, we'd like to meet potential partners to develop episodes for our VR series Dream Builders, written and developed directly for the Asian market, but also for future projects, especially written for the Asian market. And finally, as we work mainly with museums and cultural institutions, we'd like to be connected with local museum directors or curators to imagine together devices dedicated to their museographic visits. And that's it.
That will be all, Arnaud?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, let's welcome Julie Demet.
Hello. I'm very happy to be invited to these workshops and to have the opportunity to introduce my work to you. I think it's a chance for me, and I would really like to discover Taiwanese creations and to create links with artists and producers in Taiwan. My name is Julie Demet Weaver. I am author and director, and I imagine and create immersive and interactive experiences. I have worked a lot in the performing arts community with dancers and actors. And on stage, I like mixing disciplines and finding different ways to use video in my creations. Over the past 3 years, I have been wondering how to create new immersive and interactive experiences for viewers and performers. And I had the chance to meet several professionals specialized in virtual reality, developers, and movie producers who really supported me in these reflections. Ever since, I have explored new technological devices, new scores, and I work on strong narratives to find ways for the spectators to play in real time with the immersive universes projected in my scenography. I really like to play with real and virtual bodies and to use screens as windows open on other realities. My artistic approach consists in imaging bridges between literature, living art, cinema, and innovation. I like to write stories that resonate with our actuality. For example, recently, I was inspired by a real event of a dancing epidemic that took place in France in the Middle Ages. This true story tells that men and women began dancing night and day without ever being able to stop during 3 months, and show how the city had to manage this situation of dancing plague. The choreographic experience that I have imagined consists in inviting around 20 spectators to the art of this story inside an immersive and interactive device, and inviting them to dance. So carried away by this trance, depending on whether they stamp their feet, shake their pelvis, or raise their arms, they will animate in real time a sort of modern bestiary. So we would, of course, be honored to be able to come and present our creation in Taiwan. It would be wonderful for us to discover yours and have time to meet you, to exchange in order to imagine projects together. So this summer, I was in the Festival of Avignon, and I had the opportunity to present my 2 immersive and interactive projects inspired by the famous French novel Thoughts on a Dead Ring by Boris Vian, for which we received the multi-screen writing prize and the special jury prize for the integration of an innovative device into a theatrical experience. This project tells us love story of Colin and Chloe, and describes a universe where the emotions are so strong that they upset the laws of physics. This project comes in 2 forms. There is an 1-hour show with only 1 actor on stage, and there is an immersive and interactive experience of 15 minutes inside a collective virtual device where the spectators are able to play in real time with Boris Vian invention, such as the pianoctel, the big lemois, and the water lily flowers. Many international professionals have been able to discover this work in Avignon, and a partner in Seoul, Korea, will be interested in welcoming us at the end of 2022 or 2023. So in this perspective, we hope to find other partners in Asia. Thank you very much for listening. This first meeting means a lot to me, and I'm very happy to be able to discuss with creative partners, producers, and distributors in Taiwan around these projects that I'm carrying out, but also about others that we could imagine together. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next, let's welcome Priyam Jivor.
Est-ce que vous m'entendez bien?
Yeah, it's good.
Ok. Bon, alors je me suis demandé, j'ai 5 minutes là, si je peux aussi des images, mais je pense que ce n'est pas le moment. Donc, je vais parler comme tout le monde. Tout simplement, pourquoi je suis ici, évidemment, et puis qu'est-ce que je fais. Qu'est-ce que je fais? Je suis un designer industriel qui a commencé à travailler pour Peugeot Automobile et qui a arrêté assez vite.
Sorry, Priam. Can you speak in English? Because...
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Priyam Jivor. I'm an industrial designer. And that's how I started. After that, very, very quickly, I decided to switch paths a little bit towards video game engines, real-time 3D graphics, and essentially interactive arts. And this is about 20 years ago. I was working for Peugeot Automobiles after doing the applied arts in Paris. And, it became difficult for me to continue just doing cars, seeing what happens, right now, actually now. It has become obvious. We have immersive technologies, we have VR, etc. I'm a VR fan, I have to say. What have I done? Okay, I've done, I am a profile that's in between 2 worlds. I'm an industrial designer, still, a little bit hardcore into technology, real-time graphics, sensors, electronics and things like this. I've regularly done art installations in my life. I work with the arts as well, following that, the trend of, let's say, artist and designer, looking for ideas and concepts and techniques in the arts in a way, experimenting a lot, and then bringing it to technology. To actually not technology, but projects that are essentially based on immersive technologies. That's about 20 years of real-time 3D graphics. So I've been working with, the famous video games of today, but also older video games, and that started in Paris, for example, in the beginning of 2000s. What have I done also? I've done obviously a few installations around the world. I've shown my work at Demet. I've shown my work at the SIGGRAPH conference in California. I almost started a PhD in France, but I was a very good academic, but it was not enough for me, like field experience to do that. So I decided to actually go to Canada and other countries and work and experience the media and play with it and everything, and let it define itself first. So where are we now? 2 minutes left. Okay. I would say, I think I'm done with that. So essentially, I'm one of these guys who loves to speak to the industry as well. I love very, very much technology in the sense of what it enables the arts and design to do. But I have to say, I have this interest as well that I haven't maybe heard fully today. It's in hardware as well. So I'd like to, maybe meet people as well that are involved into building devices or sensors or controllers and things that are very haptic and physical. So in my artwork and design work, I'm obsessed with materials, materiality, and it's a very funny thing, right? Because, it's virtual right now, VR, but it's going to feel very material and more tactile, more and more immersive as it comes. And so everything that I do sort of like experiments on what's available in that field, in this way of physicalizing, getting you much more immersed and working with your senses and all your senses, not just only your sight. So who do I want to meet here? There's various things. I would like to meet, obviously artists and designers. I'm also interested in research and let's say, what's that called again? Well, learning technologies. So how to do immersive contents where people actually learn, by holding. So I don't know if I don't know if that's enough said, but interfaces, well, that's the case now.
Have one more minute if you want, but
okay, yeah, okay, I'll take that. So again, building art pieces and research a lot towards the haptic side and the physical side of things, and explore those new systems in that regard, especially VR. That's the type of people I would like to meet, actually, who work with that, either in a serious way, either in an artistic way, either in other ways.
Thank you. Thank you, Priyam. Next, we have Hemi Large.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I wanted to apologize for not being live with you. I'm currently in the train, and to make sure I don't have internet connection problems, I switched to a pre-record video. So let me introduce myself. My name is Rémi Large. I'm the co-founder of Tamanoa Immersive Studio, and we create immersive experiences that combine new technologies with performing arts. Our projects are showcased in cultural venues around the world, like the Opéra National de Paris, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, or the 104, among others. So why did we want to create experiences that extend the boundaries of live performance? For personal reasons, of course. My partner, Samuel Le Poil, comes from the theater, and I happen to be a former hip-hop and contemporary dancer. I was in a company when I was 18 years old, and a big part of my identity was forged on a dance stage. I built myself through movements, and today I would like to make the audience discover the pleasure of movement through our immersive experiences. So why did we wanted to work on the language of immersion? In other words, what is immersion for us? To put it in a very simple way, it is first the same thing as the moment when as children we played in the garden or in the park with our friends and we imagined all together an imaginary friend to defend, a monster to fight, or a spaceship to build. That's the power of imagination. We can see together something that exists only in our minds. That's how we see immersive experience, as a trigger for the participants' imagination. We want to give them the tools they need to dive into collective dreams. These tools are new technologies. We have worked a lot with virtual reality. For example, we have created Call Me Calamity, a VR experience where you face an actress who plays Calamity Jane, icon of the Wild West, and who invites you into a world where you can be a cowboy with her. Today, we are focusing on a new tool, immersive sound. I believe that this technology has the power to free the participants' imagination. We have created the prototype of a new experience, the Castaways, which invites spectators to wander and move around the stage wearing headphones. They follow poetic instructions and create, without even realizing it, a collective choreography. This poetic experience is in Residency at Sankat Paris in France. We have a co-production set up in Canada and first contacts for distribution in Hong Kong. We are looking for studios, producers, or cultural institutions in Taiwan who have the same vision of immersion as we do and who would like to bring this new kind of experience to your beautiful country. I thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I'm at your disposal to share with you the pitch decks and videos of our projects. Thanks to Taika and New Images for the opportunity, and good luck to all the other participants.
Thank you, Jaime. And next, we have Annelise Miller, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Annelise Miller, and I'm a
I think Annelise's internet is not really stable, so maybe we can jump to the next one and then come back to her. Next, we have Frédéric Purgal. Please go on.
Okay. Nice to be here with you. My name is Frédéric Purgal. I'm the founder of Art of Corner, and I'm a producer since 2016 of immersive and interactive VR content, especially in the field of art, culture, and heritage. Art of Corner is an expert in volumetric content creation with photographic rendering. I use 3D scan and a lot of photogrammetry. And now we are dedicated to the deployment of VR showcase with standalone VR headsets like Oculus Quest 2 or HTC Vive Focus 3 in schools, libraries, and also museums in France. My first VR 6DAF content was L'Atelier Utrio with Musée de Montmartre in 2016. It's available on Viveport. I received an award of the best interactive VR content with L'Atelier Bourdelle with Paris Musée in Laval Virtual 2018 and Best Museum VR Experience for Insteroptia 2018 with L'Atelier Bourdelle is also available on Viveport. I received a VR Focus Award with Sculpture Experience in Laval Virtual 2021, and I was selected by SAGRAPH 2021 in on immersive pavilion area. And sculpture experience will be soon available on AdClub Oculus and also on VR chat at the same time. And since 2016, other virtual tours in 6DoF were produced with volumetric capture for brands in luxury, famous monuments, institutions, and also artist houses in France. I work with Paris Musée, Centre des Monuments Nationaux, Eiffel Tower, and for example, Victor Hugo Odile House in Guernesey, and also Betty Narin's apartment in Paris. And now I will focus on sculpture experience. It was especially made for Oculus Quest 2 with Réunion des Musées Nationaux Grand Palais and also VR Room. It's an immersive and interactive 6DoF experience. It allows the visitor to have the keys to a better understanding of the sculpture. And mainly, you are facing in real size 6 masterpieces belonging to the French collection and visible in the Louvre or Musée d'Orsay, for example. I think this VR content is very perfect for public area like museum, schools, and also libraries. So I want to find partners in Taiwan to broadcast and distribute this kind of VR content. I already plan to create an upgrade for a Chinese version of Sculpture Experience and also an HTC Vive Focus 3 version. I really have a strong interest in partnership with Taiwan. I was in Kaohsiung in 2018 with a VR delegation in November 2018. I was very impressed by this trip and this beautiful country. I also speak with Hélène Kuo, who is interested in my content to show them in National Museum of Fine Arts in Taichung. So I hope to have convinced you with my projects, and I hope to have your interest. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frédéric. I think Annelise is back with us, so maybe you can restart again, please.
Yeah, I think I got kicked out. Does everyone hear me?
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay, let's try again then. I don't know where it stops, so I'm gonna, at the risk of repeating myself, I'm gonna start over. I'm a producer for immersive content. Worked for La Prairie Production, which is a company based in Marseille, and I follow Mathieu Prada's works. He's an author and director of immersive content. One of them is The Roaming, and it's an immersive XR theater play, which is already in production with a partner in Canada, Normal Studio, and another in Luxembourg, which is Wild Flying Films. The second project I'm following, which is written by Mathieu, is Encounters. Encounters is an immersive XR installation. It's a free roaming experience, multi-user experience with a strong sensory aspect to it. So, well, as often in Mathieu's works, you are asked to roam bare feet within an experience. So here in this one, you will walk on a thin film of water. It's roughly 30 minutes long, and it's articulated around 4 chapters of roughly 8 minutes each. We are co-producing with a studio in Paris, which is Sowen. Yeah, the basic storyline is that users are going to be placed throughout the 3 first chapters in inextricable situations where they're going to meet characters which are always going to have the same type of behavior, which is based on ignorance. So they're going to turn away every time they try to engage a conversation or contact or any kind of interaction. And it's leading always to the same breaking point of them disappearing, reappearing somewhere else, either twice as big or twice as many, up until we have complete saturation of the space, and that will lead to a catastrophe. So the same kind of process happens throughout the first 3 chapters, up until the 4th chapter, where I'm actually going to have an interaction with one of the characters that is going to try to engage and follow you everywhere. So the basic idea throughout the experience is to bring spectators to this naive thought, but maybe that we should remind ourselves that collective action can only happen through a dialogue and through listening. So this is for the storyline. So this, in the essence of this project, we have a question about humanity. And for this project that is in development, we wanted to bring different cultural points of view within the base of the concept of this experience. So Mathieu built this development around residencies and workshops. He has gone to Quito at the Multifest in Ecuador. Also in Germany, participated in the VR Ham in 2020. And more recently at the Festival d'Avignon, he was at a workshop at the Ardennes. For the next step, we are going on a residency in Taiwan. The project was selected at the Taiwan XR residency program that is built between Kaohsiung Film Archive, the French Bureau, and New Images Festival. And we're really proud of it. And we wish to involve Taiwanese partners as soon as possible to join us for this residency and probably build a co-production agreement with someone. We have two lines that we are thinking of following, two different types of partner we could find. One is an AI, someone that could work on AI for the fourth chapter, which is key as we want people to engage and create a connection. The second type of partner we could find would be someone who could work on scenography. As I told you, this installation has a really strong sensory feeling, and it's really key in the artistic project. And also we are aiming on distributing in museums and art centers. So this probably is a very important aspect to consider. Of course, we would love to meet other people that would engage differently on the project, would have any ideas to collaborate with us. I don't know much about the Taiwanese ecosystem so far, so I'm really happy to meet anyone who would be interested.
Thank you very much, Annelise. Next, we have Richard Turcot.
Hi, everyone. Everybody hear me? No problem? Okay. I'm Richard Turcot. I'm the executive director and producer at Inner Space VR, which is one of the main studio in France. Our company was founded in 2014 when we were developing our first content for the release of the Samsung Gear. And after that, the company has been founded by two artists, and they wanted to explore the balance between storytelling and interaction. So we produced our first experiences, La Péri, which won many awards, and The Unfinished. And after that, those contents were produced in 2016 and 2017. And after that, to move forward in exploring this sweet spot between storytelling and interaction, but also to find an economic model for the studio, we decided to go to video games, and we released our first VR game in 2019, A Fisherman's Tale, which is now kind of a reference in its genre of a narrative puzzle game. And after that, we released last April our second game, Mask Maker. But we don't stand only with games, and we still develop experiences, but also many free roam installation. And that's the point with Taiwan, because last year, director Ayun Kwon, who is the co-founder of our studio, won the prize for the Taiwan VR residency from New Image and Kaohsiung, and supported by the French Bureau in Taiwan. And we therefore made the prototype in difficult circumstances because Ayun traveled to Taiwan last spring, but with the sanitary situation, we had to shorten a bit the residence, and it delayed the release of the prototype. She finished it this summer in France, and it has been presented in Kaohsiung. As it is a free roam installation, it wasn't easy also for our friends in Kaohsiung to present it. It's a 10 meters by 10 meters installation. And the story of the project, the project is called The Guardians of Jade Mountain, and it tells the story of an unexpected friendship between Japanese anthropologists making researches on the Jade Mountain and the leader of an Aboriginal tribe called the Bunun. And it's their meeting in 1930 when the Japanese were occupying Taiwan. So, and in terms of visual, all this story of this friendship is told by using shadow theater puppets, visuals. So I don't know if some of them in Taiwan have had the opportunity to see the prototype in Kaohsiung. So now we're here. We just finished it, and we're looking for fundings to fund the whole production now. So we have been discussing this past month with some producers and some venues in Taiwan, and are still open. We are still open to that. We will go looking for some extra fundings in France also, and then we hope to enter a co-production with some place of or a producer in Taiwan in the coming months. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Next, we have Charlotte Amélie Vaux.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me? Okay. Well, first, I would like to thank you all the team for all the organization and the planning of this online event. And so I'm Charlotte Amélie Vaux. I'm the co-founder of Onyo. And with Onyo, we are creating what we call ecological tales that are taking the shape of immersive experiences. And we are taking our participants into a fantasy world called Onyo. And we want people to also engage with their own imagination. And so we are using mostly sound, binaural sound. And so in our first creation, the Tree of Light, people are gathered around a sacred tree and are going to make a ritual of regeneration of this tree, and with the eyes closed. And while doing this ritual, they are actually going to make breathing exercise based on meditation. And so when they are going to regenerate the tree, they're also going to regenerate themselves. And what we want to do with creating all the stories of Onyo is also to take part in what we call the renewal of our imagination. And so we want to create stories in which it's the collective this is going to take action. It's not like a single individual that we're going to wait to save the world, but it's thanks to the collective actions that we're going to make things happen. And also we want to have like a wonderful and marvelous approach to ecological stories, because we are quite into an anxious time, and we want to also show that other things are possible, other relationships with new forms of living are also possible to animals and trees, etc. And so today we have our first creation, the Tree of Light, and we are starting to work on our second and our third creation. In the future, we want to explore other forms of interaction and of immersion. And so that's why today we're interested into several potential partnership, because with Jan, my co-founder, we are quite expert into immersive design and how to create an immersive experience and how to write for the specific kind of interaction. But we are not expert, for example, in technology. And so we are looking for different type of partners. The first one is local artists, because we are very interested into in getting inspired by stories that are not very famous, for example, into the French or Western mindset, for example. So we are very curious into tales from in Asia, and also plastic artists, for example, because for the first creation, the Tree of Light, we worked with the French artist that created the sculpture at the center of the installation. So this is the first part. The second part is to have a partner looking for venues, cultural institution curators that might be interested into the Tree of Light and into this form of immersive experiences, which is lived with the eyes closed. And the third one would be maybe working with tech people, because we know that in the future we're going to explore other kinds of interaction, and that we will try out new technologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlotte and Mehdi. And for our last talent, let's welcome Thomas Villepoux.
Hello. Hi, 大家好. 谢谢邀请. Thank you for having me. I'm Thomas. I'm very happy to be there and to present my work as a director and as a scriptwriter. I've been working in immersive content for more than 10 years and in VR since 2014. And I'm probably known in Taiwan more for being the creative director of a company called Digital Rise. Digital Rise have done co-production with Taiwan before. We co-produced with Serendipity Films, Mechanical Souls, and A Song Within Us. Digital Rise also produce all my personal projects. So for my latest project, Jailbirds, that I directed, that premiered in Tribeca, it was the Taiwan premiere was last month. So every time I was in Taiwan, I represented that company. But today, I want to present my work as a director and as a scriptwriter, because I have the feeling that what I can bring to an immersive project in terms of direction and storytelling as value. And I've developed along the years some skills that are still quite unique today. Who am I? I have a background in traditional storytelling for films. Before Digital Rise, I worked for a big immersive studio called DV Group. And there I had the chance to work on more than 50 immersive projects for brands, so including narrative, interactive, VR, AR, phygital installations. And we also had the chance to create original content departments that produced experiences like The Real Thing, that is multi-awarded documentary, like being Thomas Pesquet, following the French astronaut in the International Space Station, and also the groundbreaking first immersive VR theater experience that was Alice, the virtual reality play. And with DV Group, I also had the chance to work with for special interactive projects with US studios like 20th Century Fox and Sony. And all that gave me a good understanding of the immersive media and the immersive media industry. My feeling today on the immersive industry is that first, on many experiences, the script writing is very weak because the focus is on the concept or the interactivity or the user experience. And there are some basic techniques of script writing that can be applied to immersive content. And that would improve drastically the audience engagement in the experience. And secondly, I think projects like immersive projects, they are often directed by people who come from very different backgrounds, like artists, musicians, choreographer, and they bring new perspective. It's very interesting to have all this input, but also they sometimes lack the basic knowledge of directing for VR or for immersive content. Directing is not a gift, it's a craft. It can be learned, and there's a lot of techniques in it. So that's why I'm trying to share my experience now as much as possible. I worked sometime as a consultant or a script doctor. So as a director, I have created content that was showed in all the big festivals and Sundance and Venice, etc. But my next goal now is to reach a larger audience, talk to the general public. I want to create accessible entertainment and also something that would make sense business-wise. So I strongly believe you can make a simple but exciting experiences, especially with immersive. Simple does not mean stupid. And VR entertainment does not mean gamers shooting zombies, you know. There's a whole wide world between Sundance and Beat Saber. And I'm happy to collaborate with anyone who thinks the same way. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the professionals from France for your introductions. And now we'll have a 10 minutes break. And after 10 minutes break, we will come back for our discussion and case study. Thank you. Welcome back. I hope that you have fully recharged during the break. And now we are moving to the case study. And today we are very honored to have two special guests with us to talk about their project, Missing Picture, Cai Minliang. Without further ado, let's welcome the Stella Chen from Serendipity Films and also Lai Guanyuan from Boca Boca Studio.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah? Oh.
Hi, everyone. I'm Estela Valdivieso Chan. I am the CEO and the producer of Serendipity Films.
Hello, I'm Kuan Yuan Lai. I'm the producer and the director of Poke Poke Creative.
It's really a pleasure to be here to share our experience in working in co-productions with friends, and especially that we just finished a project, Missing Picture, Cai Minliang, this year. We also prepared a presentation. If it's okay to place our presentation on the screen. Great, thank you. So to give you a little bit of an overview of what's Missing Picture, probably a lot of you already know that Missing Picture is actually a episodic series about directors that haven't, about stories of the directors that never get to be made. Next page, please. So Serendipity jumped on board into this project in 2019. I met, ever since I met Antoine, the producer in Alice 5, that I was really keen to find a project to work with them. So when Antoine presented Missing Picture, it kind of felt like a Serendipity film, a Serendipity project, because Serendipity has this background in films, series, and immersive content. So we really thrive with working on, stories that can challenge storytellings, and also over the past years, a lot of immersive work that we've done. We already collaborate with French partners. So for us, working on Missing Picture, jumping on board Missing Picture, it was to kind of explore more possibility in co-production, what else we can do, what are the possibility in terms of bringing more resources and gather them together. So before we get into Missing Pictures, just for you to take a little bit of a sneak peek, what are the projects that Serendipity has produced?
Save Taiwan once and for all. We need to make the people believe Taiwan can be as powerful as other great places.
Ako, tanga sa ato kung kahit saan namita.
As mentioned earlier by Aurelion and Thomas, that we already worked with Digital Rise in 2 projects in the past years. And we find it great to work with French partners, because I think that for the Taiwan immersive content, we are actually in an early phase. We're just diving into searching different possibilities. And when I started working in immersive content in 2017, 2018, I realized there's a lot of people that were already ahead of us in France. And so over the years, we get to work on these different projects to really build experiences and to find our position as a company, how we can work with people. And so a lot of the content that Serendipity worked on and like to take part of is to find an Asian content position into the project that we contribute in, because we believe that, you know, Taiwan could be a very good key of the Asian market and a good partner to kind of bring in different cultural understanding and background too. Next page, please. So as I mentioned earlier, Missing Picture is about stories that, movies that never was made by great master directors. And the very first episode was by Abel Ferrara. And when I started talking to Antoine, they were already starting the interview with Abel Ferrara. And they were looking for more partners to get involved. And knowing that concept, I know that it's important for a episodic series to have a Taiwan director on board. And that kind of led us into Missing Pictures Haiming Liang. Next page, please. So it's a 6 episode project, and the idea is that we actually now already have other episodes director we already filmed and are working on post-production with, and we use the volumetric capture system to capture those directors and place them in VR, and so that you know, we can create this story world that they had in mind and put them in there, put our spectator in there to feel like they're in front of you, showing you, touring you into that story world. Next page, please. Thank you. And one of the interesting thing about how we built our partnership is that, you know, as Atlas already brought Arte and BBC on board when we met them. And from our side, we realized that, you know, for able to have a project to, you know, communicate to mainstream audiences, broadcasters are a very important role for distributions. And so we approached PTS Taiwan first to get them on board to really join this kind of broadcasting alliance, and then follow up with Taika's resource that was able to bring Serendipity in as a co-producers in Missing Picture, and also kind of before and ahead every other financing partner. And when you see that there's all this partner, there are also the additional resources that they, you know, Atlas 5 was able to bring in from France, from the regional, and also with Luxembourg partners. And who we added this year was Korea. So we were able to use this episodic strategy to kind of build partnership along, you know, in the course of 3 years, basically. So that's kind of something that we try very differently from a lot of other projects that I had. A lot of time that we try to do co-production and try to find resources for one specific project. But we had this episodic that kind of give us a little bit time and space to build the partnership for the overall strategy. Next page, please. So just to give you guys a little bit of understanding of what we made so far, so I played 2 teasers, and the first one will be Abel Ferrara. Next.
You know, the one film that meant the most to us that didn't get made was a movie called Birds of Prey, which was written around 1980 by Nikki St. John, right after we did Miss 45. It's going to be a film about revolution in the United States, set in New York in the future where corporations have completely taken over.
And for the Taiwan partner, we have director Tsai Ming-liang that's very well renowned, and we believe that because Tsai Ming-liang also kind of is a different type of director from Abel. Abel Ferrara is an American indie film director. So he has a group of his audience. And for Tsai Ming-liang, he also is an art house master, but he also has a very different group of fan base. So the idea of missing picture, having directors with different kind of genre really helps us to reach out to more directors, more audiences as much as possible. And that's what we are like follow-up episodes are also kind of aimed towards that direction. Next page, thanks.
你问我有没有什么东西想拍，结果没拍的？其实我没有哎，都在看电影啊。我的那个时代，那些记忆，我不觉得我拍得出来。
So for every episode, like the idea is also to bring in different artistic style, as you see, because every storyteller, every director that's get involved, they will have their own way of telling story. So we also have the first one that was already made, and the animation was done in France. At Beyond Studio, and then in the second one that we kind of brought in the Taiwan resources to take part with. Next page, please. And in order to do that, for us, it's very important to have Taiwan participation to be as much as possible. And that's kind of how David Lai Guanyuan took part. We had Clement Deneuve to be our whole series director. He's the one that overlooks every single episode. And he did the very first one the year before we did the second one. So he knows like the kind of difficulty that he already faced. He's able to kind of reflect on it and see how he can do the second episode. And in order to bring in more Taiwanese resources, like animation studio using the volumetric capture here in Taiwan to communicate with Tsai Ming-liang, helping them understand what we are trying to do, we brought in David in order to bridge the conversation and dialogue. So here, next page, please. Here, I will be here to kind of ask some questions to David and let David share a little bit more about how he collaborated with Clement.
Okay. Actually, very easy. No. Okay. Due to the COVID-19, we know in this co-production, we only have the online meeting for every work. So it was hard, but we have very intensive discussion. First of all, because to join this episode, to join this series, we need to reach lots of consensus of the concept art scenario and the style of animation, etc. In order to accomplish the second episode to have its own style, and because different master, they have different stories, they have different different status. Anyway, with Clement, yeah. Sorry, we pass to next question because
Oh yeah, sure,
I
no
think
problem. So yeah, I mean, I think one of the interesting part, like I want to share a little bit, is that one of the interesting part about this collaboration with Clement is that you basically kind of had to be the voice of Clement, right? Like so, a lot of time that you know Clement has this idea and concept that this is what he needs to present to Tsai Ming Liang. And this is how we wanted to portray Tsai Ming Liang's kind of childhood memory, to honor his childhood memory. There was actually a lot of communication on that part, right?
yeah, okay. As you see the trailer of episode 2, at the very beginning, Tsai Ming Liang already said that he actually doesn't have mixing picture. So we need to rewrite the scenario with Clement. So it's like I write one version and pass to each other. We write together, and during the interviews, many times of interviews with Tsai Ming Liang, even after interviews, even after shooting 40 views shooting, we still write the scenario because the processes of the Tsai Ming Liang, how does he work, is really a little different. We need to change the concept.
The standard of workflow, right? Because like we kind of structure the very first episode's workflow, knowing exactly how we want to do this, but every director is different. So how do you kind of craft it around the interviewee, the director that we spoke to? And with that, we were able to kind of apply it to the following episodes with other directors as well, because we realized that even the original workflow there are certain parts that can be adopted by different directors. And I think one of the most interesting thing about this project is that this is a documentary series. So using volumetric for documentary, next page please. I think using volumetric for documentary, I think there were a lot of challenges.
Yeah, we are thanks to we are supported to by the IP lab for the view for the volumetric capture, and the Mongshan animation studio. They helped us to develop the concept art and the CG art and the Unreal Engine part. And of course, we need to mention that the French studio Avion, they have produced episode 1, so they shared lots of experience, and we have many technical exchange to discussion, and that's how it works for technical part. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think that in terms of like working with Moonshine animation studios here in Taiwan, a lot of times that they have great artistic view and experiences, but I think that in the co-production, a lot of time that what we all lack of experience of and what we need to try to overcome is how do we work with each other in the same way, because we are from Taiwan and the partners were from France. Everybody kind of works in a different, not only time zone, but also there's a different working culture. So I think that when we started to coordinate this project, we realized that there is a lot of communication necessary. And one of the good skill that Davi had is she actually went to after graduating in France, so he was able to communicate with Clement in French and be able to deliver what needs to be shared to the Taiwanese team more accurately, and also how Abion's contribution was also interesting because Clement, we couldn't fly Clement to Taiwan because of the pandemic, so Clement was able to be there working with Abion on some of a few artistic direction, and able to send it to Taiwan, and then with that we grow more from that basic concept. So I think there are those kind of ways to bring collaboration more, like, make it better. Next page, please.
Okay, I think actually the difficulty that I have just mentioned, the how we tell the story has changed, because the Cai Minliang's his working processes is kind of different, and then we need to balance. The second part is we need to balance many things like computer performance, and concept art, computer performance, and the CG part. That there are many details that we wanted, but we need to.
Yeah, it's an optimization issue, because like we wanted to do it in Quest 2. So the original work was actually much more rich, but we go through that process of cutting down so we can have a better project. So that was definitely the most difficult part for us, to cut some part that we have to let go.
Yeah, at the same time we are facing the audience, the fans of Cai Minliang, and the general audience who doesn't know Cai Minliang, and also the investor and many people. So we need to balance many things to have
the right look. Yeah. Okay, next one. Thank you. You.
Yeah. Okay. We know that the international co-production, actually there are too many kinds of collaboration. So I have the different cases with German team, Now Here Media. Speak to Awaken is a series of voice-based interactive documentary, and the topic is talking about to save the endangered language. And the interesting thing is, like, before we meet with German team, actually we have already started episode 1, and they have already started another episode. Episode is after we put on, and because we after meeting we found that we have the same topic, and we have really similar way to present our project. Is we'd like to make audience to speak in the documentary. So we found something difficulty in our project, like the endangered language is really a narrow topic. So to cooperate with German team, we it's in order to arouse the attention of public, and to exchange some technical experience. So that's how we cooperate. Yeah.
Next page, please. Okay. Yeah, I can share a little bit. I guess for me, finding international partner, I find international partners like events like this. So I'm very happy to always be sharing about my what I've done, but also the kind of projects that I like to produce are projects that I can, I can bring contribution to. So as you see that there are, as you've been participating to the workshop, workshop here, you notice that there are different resources here in Taiwan. But I think for my role and the way that I think is that I look for projects that I realize I can participate the more, and I can be able to kind of help communication and kind of utilize all these different resources domestically. And also in terms of the distribution and the marketing plan, I actually really enjoy finding projects that can help me build new networks. So I think that's one of the key of co-production, right? Like you're meeting partners that sharing different experiences, and maybe being able to, so you don't have to spend that so much time building that something that somebody else already had spent time built on. By working with them, you actually kind of save yourself some effort. And also in terms of market, I think it's, even though it's we used to travel everywhere, but it's hard to be everywhere anyway. So how do you build partners? In France, for instance, France is actually a huge, big market. How do we find a partner that knows how to bring the most resources of your project for your project in their own territory? And I think that's the key of co-production for me, like in order to find those kind of partners to actually make your job a little bit easier. I think one of the interesting thing about Missing Picture was that, over the years, Antoine gathered me and then gathered more partners in Luxembourg, more partners in Korea. And then we all still work super hard in our own territory and able to build more resource, find more resource, and gather them together so we can have one project as a alliance, and to say, here, this is what we have together, and this is our strategy together. Yeah. Anything you want to add in?
Well, for me, to find an international partner, we really care about the things we care in this world, like many social issue, and the things, the way to present this project, and the interest.
Yeah, I think creative understanding is also a very important part in co-production. Like, yes, I talked about resource sharing and all that. I think that is good, but if you don't share a mutual understanding of art, if you don't have a mutual vision in the piece, then all this is just, it could go to waste. All the resources, you can't really gather each other's mind. So in order to find a good co-producer, I think a lot of time that, I spend a lot of time working with them in the early phase, in development phase even, like, knowing where you want to take this project and how you're shaping it, and how can I help shape it in a better way. One of the example I think we can share, Thomas in the group here on Skype here also knows, like, we work super hard together in the early phase of Mechanical Souls, in able to, how do we talk about an Asian futuristic wedding in a way that Asian people can relate to, and the Western people can kind of also satisfy a little bit of their Asian fantasy. So how do you find a balance that there is something exotic, but also the Asian people don't feel like, our culture is being used for just for entertainment without real any depth. So I think like those kind of things are a conversation with your partners that you can, for me, it was really a great experience working with Digital Rise, because we were very honest partners. We were able to kind of get there and say this works for me and my culture. So how do we find a balance there? And so the creative conversation in the early phase, I think is as you say, is a very important part.
Yeah, can check if there's any questions.
Is anybody has any questions? I'll be very happy to kind of share.
Thank you, Estella. Thank you, David. I think we have a questions from the audience online. It says, what is the specialty and what is in the immersive ecosystem in France they decided to work with them? Like, what is it? What is so special about them? And also, what is available there? They decided to work with friends this time.
I think from the very beginning, when I just started working in immersive content, I noticed that the resource in Taiwan is never gonna be enough because we are in this immersive space is such a big world to build together. And when we, the very first time I went to New Images, I met all these industry players in France. And I was so surprised that there were so many of them already and they all know each other so well. And they were not only producers, they were distributors, they were, theaters, there are people from different fields, and they were all there in New Images sharing their experiences. And that kind of gave me a really good cultural shock that I felt like this is something that should happen here in Taiwan as well. I come from film industry, and not even film industry are that open and that sharing, and that needs to be here in Taiwan. So I came back to Taiwan. I spoke to Oh Hae-ryun at the time. I said, we need to do a co-production with friends so we can bring that culture here. We can kind of build a culture here also internally for our creators, but also when we kind of stand up together, we can also meet creatives like you here online with us in order to see how we can put the pieces together, because I don't think that we can do this alone.
Thank you. I think we have the last question. The last question is, in this film, Missing Picture, what was missing that you didn't expect to happen, that you would do something different next time in the next film?
That's a very good question because I've never thought about that. Let me think. Like, what's missing? I think we are always missing, new stories and opportunities. And for me, I wouldn't say I would do anything that differently, because I think every episode we learn from the different situation. Like even last week, we just shot our final episode, and by the end, I actually had felt really proud of ourselves that we were able to do a virtual shooting with the experience of we had in Missing Picture 2. Now virtual shooting is super easy for us, and we are virtually communicating with partners in Korea and in Japan, and we can get to do all this online. I think overall I'm very happy with what we had.
Good to know. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stella.
Thank you.
That's all for our sessions. And we'll move on now to the next panel discussions. In the next panel discussions, they will talk about distributions, location-based entertainment, and also monetization. And today we have different speakers with us. First of all, we have Grace Lee from Kaohsiung VR Film. Kaohsiung VR Film is a pioneer in Taiwan who has produced or provides subsidies and supports to many initial VR films in Taiwan. So we'll be very happy to hear from Grace Lee. The second one is Camille Lopeto from Division Cinema, and will also be moderated. This session will be moderated by New Images Festival representative Ali Levasseur that welcomes our next panel discussion. So we are still waiting for moderator Ellie to get online. So we'll wait for her for a few seconds, just a second. Thank you. So while we're waiting for Ellie, do we have Grace online? Oh, is Ellie here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the floor is yours.
Hello. Shall we start now, or shall we wait for?
I think we can start. Thank you.
Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Elie Levasser, head of New Images XR Market. And I must say, I'm very, very excited today to present this panel on immersive distribution as part of this Taiwan X France XR Day. I think distribution is today one of the most important questions for immersive artists and producers. We often hear people saying there is no market and there is no chance to have one as long as headset penetration rate remains low. This assessment is very often a dissuasive argument for financiers and to invest into XR production. And of course, I mean, without distribution, there is no point to produce. And this is why it is essential for creators, but also for anyone who wants to push this ecosystem to take up the subject. And the good news is that this is exactly what we are going to do, or at least try to do today. Give you concrete leads and tips to successfully address the question and activate distribution opportunities that match your project. So please welcome our two experts. We have with us Camille Lopato, founder and CEO of Diversion Cinema, a French company specialized on immersive distribution since 2016. Hello, Camille.
Hi everyone.
How are you
Thank
doing today? Yeah.
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you very much.
Great. And we have also on this panel Grace Lee, head of the VR Film Lab and curator of the XR section within Caution Film Festival. Hi, Grace.
Hi, everyone.
Very happy to have you in.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Also very happy to can have the talk with Camille and Ellie as well. So looking forward to it.
Great. So to open this friendly conversation, I suggest to start with a project you both know very well, which is Ayahuasca, directed by Jan Kunen. So maybe, Camille, would you like to tell us more about the project itself and also the challenges you face in terms of distribution?
Yes, thank you very much. I will try to be quick. I have the tendency to talk too much. And as distribution is a very important subject and very diverse, there is many ways of addressing it. I will try to be short. Regarding Ayahuasca, it was actually one of the first projects that we acquired. And we already know at that time, it was in 2018, the year that we actually started with the distribution department. We knew at that time that business model in distribution, in VR distribution, were difficult to find. And because it was an experience that also needed to be shown on expensive devices, we really need we had this intuition that we should give people an experience that was not only what happened in the mask, but something that would gather more people for a longer time. And to be able to give context also around the experience, because Ayahuasca Cosmic Journey is a trip Jan Koenen's trip and Jan Koenen's experience with ayahuasca, which is a drug that you take during a healing ritual in the Amazonia. And the whole story that Jan told us about what is ayahuasca for him changed our understanding of what was the VR experience. And it sounds very important to us. It feels very important to us that we will be able to share this context. And that's why we produced an exhibition around the VR experience. If I can share my screen, maybe I can show you a little bit what we thought about. Or if someone can show my slide as you want. But the idea was to put around this experience a context. And so and I think this is also very interesting, that when you distribute VR experiences, you very often find yourself doing something else or something more that only distributes VR experiences, because we actually don't know what it really means. At that moment, we didn't know how to address the market, which was the market, which was the public. So we needed to try new models and new ways of reaching the public. But we also had this intuition, and maybe Grace, you will agree or not. So this is yes, thank you. This is the kind of the plan, a map of the exhibition that we made. We had this intuition that we wanted to attract people that were not interested with the technology. We wanted to attract people interested with ayahuasca. The theme that Jan Koenen chose was very modern, very important. Again, the context around it, super interesting. And we knew that there was like a audience out there that will not be interesting in VR, but will be interesting in ayahuasca. And the exhibition, that was also a way to attract them to discover VR and Jan Koenen's creative proposition. Maybe what do you think, Grace, about that? Do you agree? Because yes, the exhibition traveled a little bit. Sorry.
Of course.
It was part of the VR Film Lab.
Yeah. I think for ayahuasca is a very interesting case for us, because because we run in a venue in LBE venue in Kaohsiung, which is we located in Pier to Art Center. Actually, the location is quite a mixing purpose. Like we have artists here, but like 90% people is like a tourist, because the family they would love to come in by in the holidays or like in the weekends, so they can explore the space. So like in the past, we launched this LBE space in 2018. So usually in the past, most of I would say like 80 or 90% our customer is passing by customer. So I think it's a good sign, because like most of the customer, they are passing by, but they are really interested in VR and they will buy ticket to see it. But one of our main challenges for us is we want customer like they coming in purpose to see the contents. So that was our main focus, that how can we attract the people to coming to see VR, because we also run a festival, but we feel the challenge is that the festival audience is really different with the general public. So for ayahuasca, I would say it's a successful case, because when we launch these contents, we collaborate with some of the key influencers in internet. So they discuss this topic before we launch the experience. So in the end, like I would say like almost 90% the tickets is pre-sale. So I think it's really good case, because this is kind of what we feel is this content is a game-changing content, because we really hope that people can come in to see the content. Like you say, they are not only like for experience, they are not only interesting in VR. Instead of the interesting in technology, I think in our experience, it's more easy to talk than a topic. So it's it's interesting because we have another case like in the mist. It's one of our original contents. I would say it's not really like a entertainment content. It's very poetic and also very experimental. But what we try is we also sell the topic and we discuss the all the topic or all the issue about this content in the internet before, so it works really great. So I think yeah. So what we learn from the market is not you really need to give them something they already know or something they can attract them. So besides that, I think you mentioned a very interesting point and also very important points about the exhibition. Because if you can see, if you only showcase the VR in the venue, it's really like, it's not very interesting because it's only a person wearing a headset. It's quite boring. So when our experience is if you want to attract them, you really need to give them some like the visual attractive. You need to give them the picture of the image can attract them. So I think the Ayahuasca is a great case because you create like a unique experience. It's like we create a ceremony so they can go when they step into the space. It's already started experience. So yeah.
Well, one question for you, Grace, is before distributing this project in Taiwan, how did you suspect this project has a great potential? I mean, for Taiwanese audience.
Actually, because this content has already showcased in our festival before. So usually what we do is after the festival, we will review some of the contents that has a good review from the audience. So at the moments before we invite this project to LBE, we already showcase it during the festival. And in the festival, we already know it's quite successful. Yeah. So this is the way we do for both from festival side. We launch our experience after the festival. Yeah.
And Camille, can you tell us if this project has been also distributed online?
Yes, so Ayahuasca Cosmic Journey is distributed online. We actually are not the French producer who is handling the online distribution at LSV. But just to finish about the exhibition, and I think it's something that maybe we should talk about. It's like, as I said, it was our first exhibition. And we realized afterward that we did too much. We wanted, because we were a little bit stressed, let's say, about it. We wanted this to be a success. So the whole content and the whole building, we even thought of how to build the exhibition in order to, because we wanted to have clients. And so we thought the most we do, so we have all the plans, all the building stuff, all the budget for it, the easier it will be to commercialize. And we quickly realized that we were completely wrong, that most of the venue that we actually addressed has their own solution to build the exhibition. They wanted to have something very specific, and that at the end, we were to deliver kind of feelings of the exhibition and digital files that would be printed, used, reprint in different sizes, etc. We of course give our okay to do that, but we realized afterward that we spent too much money in trying to fulfill something that we thought venues will need, but at the end didn't. They didn't want to do it. So that was a big take takeaway from this experience. Also, I have to say that the experience was ready at the end. The exhibition was ready at the very end of 2019. So obviously, as 2020 was not the best year for LBE, it was also a bit complicated. But still, that was a very interesting case because we understood what venue wanted to have and what freedom they wanted to have as well.
And would you think this is the case for all the project, or it was just particular to this project? What's your feeling?
I think it was. It's more particular to the venue we were addressing, because we try to address museums. And venues in general, but mostly cultural venues that already had quite a strong idea of how they want to present it, how they want to present the exhibition. So they were happy with the content, but they wanted to have in their hands how to present it to the public. And I guess it's normal. I mean, it's their job, but somehow we thought it would help them if we thought of everything, which was a mistake, obviously, because they know their public. We don't really know their public, and they know how to address it, and they have their own way to do things, and they like it. So we should let them.
Okay, and there are usually two main options for distributing an XR experience. So you have online and location-based. I was just discussed. By location-based, I mean all real-life places like festivals, museums, amusement park, and other places like this. But the question is, what question must be addressed by the producers to identify what is the best option for the project? How do you manage this question yourself? Maybe Camille?
Yes. Thank you. I think we need to have in mind that the VR industry is very young and still searching for itself. So we can have intuitions of answers right now regarding the past experience and what we understood, but the landscape is changing all the time. So we also have to make sure that we are not too confident of what we know and be able to rethink every 6 months, to rethink a little bit our ideas and to check in different countries where the market is. But yes, I will say that we observe a tendency since a few months, maybe a year and a half. A lot of VR projects that I read are made for or with the idea that they designed. Yes, thank you. Designed for museums. There was like a huge increase for this kind of experience. But I think that people should be a little bit careful because again, this is something that we learned with ayahuasca. Museums are very aware of what they want, of what they need, and if they want an immersive or a VR or an immersive project, they will co-produce it because they have, at least in France and in Europe, they have money for it. So we have to be very careful when you have an idea and you are thinking this is for a location-based entertainment venue. I will target museum. Make sure that you have a museum on board already. Make sure that this is not only in your head, but you actually have a real plan and a real partner that will help you afterwards to commercialize it in other museums. Sorry, I'm not. Was it your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe Grace with you.
Yeah.
With the VR lab. I mean,
Yeah.
When do you think this question related to distribution have to be addressed? I mean, at what stage of development of the project, the artist or the producer need to think about this from your experience?
Yeah. Before answer your questions, I just thinking about one thing I would like to say before. Because when Camille say about ayahuasca, I totally agree. Like the markets change rapidly, like every day until now. So one thing I need to say, like we would like to open mind every day, like. Every case is an individual case, because I remember first time when I talked to Camille in Cairns, like Camille was asked me like, did you want to distribution ayahuasca in your LBE space? But at the moment, I actually not sure about our audience, especially in Kaohsiung, can accept that. I remember so I'm wrong actually. So so sometimes we are still wrong. So but for the case is like after ayahuasca doing the LBE show in Taipei successfully. So we acquire we have the evidence, or we can say we have the market confidence for in Taiwan. So after that we do in Kaohsiung. But yes, I just want to I just remind like something we are not always right, but we always learning from markets. So to answer your questions, yes, because we are also be like a co-producer for our originals projects. I would say something very important is that when you develop or when you do the pre-production for the projects, you really have to think about the distribution and also think about your audience. For example, usually when we discuss with our curators or our directors, we will make strategy for the festival. So like which festival we should go, because I would say like every festival has a different unique taste. Yeah, so you can see your projects. Maybe you can go to which festival, and also for VR experience, it's not only for film festival. Some of the festival you need to like more open, like a museum or like a digital art. So it's more you need to search more, study more, and I would say definitely you need to talk about something experience in distribution, like talk to Camille. Even they didn't distribute your projects in the end, but I would say it's definitely interesting to listen to them because they know the markets. So they listen to their advice. So because from our experience, like for example, for one of our content called Home, when we produce it, we know it should target international audience. It's not only for Taiwan audience, but the story is very local. It's about a family story. In the afternoon, everyone come back to grandma's house, and we have lots of dialogues. So the main challenge for us during the moment, because the director, he doesn't want to have the subtitle in the film, but all is in Chinese. So we kind of have a huge argument between, because he feel like an international audience didn't understand the dialogue is okay. But during the moment, because we cannot find a solution about it. So actually, what we do is we find a different audience like internationally. We invite them to see the content. So we do like a taste. So after we do the taste, like some of the international audience can understand the content, but some audience cannot. So in the end, like we make the balance. We have make a agree with director. We will have a key dialogue in the subtitle in the content. So I think it's a good compromise in the end. But in a way, I would say, thinking about your audience before you finish the production. Yeah, because some in our experience in our venues, some of the experience is really good, but it's really not good to sell. For example, lots of our audience will come in our desk, and our staff need to deliver the content in 1 or 2 sentences and to make them attractive. So I'm not saying that you need to make the content that's all very commercial or very like entertainment, but you need to make some of a way to attract audience into your piece. Some of the case we have seen in the industry, like example, maybe you invite famous actor or actress to do the voiceover for your experience. The case like Gumi Eyes or Baba Yaga, it works for when we do the press markets. So yeah, I would just say that think about your audience before you finish it, and that will works.
Can you tell us more about how to build a festival touring plan? I mean, why should I pick up this festival and not this one? Or, I mean,
well,
what are your advice?
It's really
and the best question is, when do you recommend to go to New Images? Of course.
Well, it's really actually, if we want to talk about like a festival strategy, you will have like a 1 hour or 2 hours. Well, I would say like you can thinking about the festival is not a festival. It's the first time your work to face the audience. So if you make your strategy that what's your main market and main audience, like if you are targeting United States, you might thinking about Sundance, South by, and Tribeca, and some of the you can also ask the festival to share their press release list for you, so you can make the press release during the festival. And yeah, so festival is very important because the distributor like Camille, they will come to the festival, and also lots of our contents go to the festival, so people will know it. Industry people will know it, and people discuss it, and they get a chance to see it. So we have some of the distributor after the festival will contact us, so to distribute the content. So yeah, so New Image is one of the main important markets in Europe, I would say. I discussed lots of interesting projects in New Image, especially in the markets. So for example, that this year we showcased the Ball of Paris. It's one of the best experience I have seen in this year. And I remember that project is in the market like 2019. So it's a good way to join festival, even it's in the early stage of development. So you can still find a partner. So for me, like I follow up the Ball of Paris after the festival, even though we didn't invest the project, but we still got a chance to showcase it later in a few years later. Yeah.
Thank you for the promotion. Camille, a question for you. What revenues can a producer expect from a distribution through festivals? I think you have some interesting infographics to share.
Yes, if it's possible for people handling the sharing slide. To see the graphic, I think, as Grace said, festivals, of course, are very interesting to make the project known to the industry and to the public. It's also very often the first time that the project is presented to a real public, so that's interesting to gather their feedbacks. It's of course, when it's you have a competition within the festival, it creates values as well around the project, and it make it easy to commercialize it afterwards. But it's also a way to make money. I mean, maybe not or that's sometimes a bit weird, but not the most important festival. And therefore they don't pay a screening fee. But then you have the second life of the project in the maybe smaller festivals, and then you can have a few screening fees, and I think that should not be overlooked. It can be represent a little bit of revenue for the production company. It's a lot of work, but still it's interesting to make this effort. Also because you create a network around you, and you know it's also a way, well, for us that are distributors, it's also a way to have acquisition and to understand what festivals are waiting for, are expecting in terms of new production. So that's very interesting. And then I wanted to say that we talked a lot about LBE, and obviously festivals are part of the LBE. But at some point we were a little bit worried about the future of 360 films, because platforms, online platforms, are also interesting in terms of revenue. And they tend, I'm not talking about Steam VR or this kind of, let's say, more gaming platforms, but I'm talking about a platform that would acquire 360 films for a flat fee. And that could be for a longer period of time. And that could be quite interesting in terms of revenue. But of course, to be able to make this kind of sales, you need to have a 360 video. And so we were at some point a little bit worried because project had this tendency of getting more and more complex in terms of technology. And beautiful, and going further with the engagement of the body, of the etc., and very good for LBE. But we have to have in mind that having a 360 video version of it, when possible, is very useful and can give you a little bit of revenue as well.
And can we share with the audience some kind of, the range of revenue they can expect from either festivals or online platforms, just to have an idea?
Yes, I mean, I can.
It depends on the project, but
it of course depends of the project. You have as Grace said, you have projects that are much more LBE than others. I mean, and you have projects that because they are 360 video, they can actually check all the boxes and they could go to every market, LBE, festivals, and online platforms. If you don't have, if your format is it's not too long, meaning under 20 minutes, and if you don't have too many dialogues, that's obviously the jackpot, because you can address everyone with a very few language barrier, and that's what actually platforms are looking for. I'm not saying that that should be all the content that a producer should produce, obviously, but I'm saying that facilitates a project like, for example, Ayahuasca as well. That facilitates the journey of the experience around the planet, because versioning is expensive.
I don't know if actually if it's time to wrap up, or if we can have like 2 or 3 minutes extra. If someone can just tell me. Okay.
Hi. We actually got a question.
Okay.
No, we actually got questions. So maybe we can ask the questions.
Yeah, please go ahead if you have a question.
Yes. The question from online says that now we have several production companies who have also started to have distribution services for their own work or for others. Do you think it will become a common practice for production companies to cover distribution in the future as well?
Is it for me or for Grace?
I think either one can take it if you want to.
Yes, I would say I hope that production companies will make sure that their beautiful experience travel and is seen by the public. Is it for this? I mean, someone should take care of it. Is it production company? If you can have people in-house that are actually taking care of it, and you can still produce, because this is your main focus is to produce, and the thing that you do the best is producing, and still you can have someone in-house that organize the whole distribution strategy and etc. Do it. If you can't, I guess there will be, or there is already, more and more distributors that can do it for you.
We have another question as well. It says that the venue is quite different from one another, and from each other you may have a very different venue design. So when you think about the production and distributions, do you have to think about the exhibition design first, or that can come later after production?
I take it?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Well, I would say you can have your plan first, but of course you need to discuss with different partner if you need to adapt a different version to adapt the venue. That's what we do. Like we will discuss with curator first, for you have your own plan. But usually, yeah, because we have too many different space. So you need to see how they can afford for like a physical installation or anything. Yeah, you have to discuss with them. And so I would say like even in every venue, you maybe have the different showcase, but it's really kind of normal. Yeah.
Yes, I guess you should think about it from the beginning, how it will be exhibited, but you should be adaptable until the end. Because as Grace said, the venues are very different, and you shouldn't be too strict about how the space that you need and etc. You should have the most room to adaptation you have, the best it is.
I see, thank you. Any last word from Ellie before we go?
Yeah, but I will say thank you, Camille, and thank you, Grace. Thank you for this short but great conversation, I think. And thank you also to Taika and all the team behind the organization. I hope it was kind of inspiring and enlightening for you too. So thank you, and I wish you all a wonderful end of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Grace. And thank you, Camille.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for the sessions. And now we move on to the last session. The last session will talk about platform and the metaverse. And this session, we also have two speakers with us. The first one is Maud Clivier from VR Room. And the second one is Kurt Liu from XR Space. And this session will be moderated by our advisors from Taika. Can we have Kurt on the stage? Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Okay, so this is the last conversation. Thank you for to all of you who are still with us. So we have two. Okay, so we wait for Maud. Maybe I can introduce the two speakers. So we have two speakers today. The first one is Kurt Liu. You're the Content and Marketing Vice President at XR Space. XR Space is a Taiwan-based company pioneering next generation of social reality. Last year you launched actually your own device in virtual world,
Yes.
The XR Space Manova VR headset and the XR Space Manova World, where people can meet, connect, work play together. And you recently launched a new product, GoXR, which is available on mobile devices.
Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure.
And is Maud with us? Not yet. Well, let me introduce Maud anyway. So Maud Clavier is the COO of VR Room, which is a French company that specializes in immersive and social live events and performances. They have delivered some remarkable artistic performances, notably the Jean-Michel Jarre VR concert in Notre Dame, which was called Welcome to the Other Side. And they also build virtual worlds, which most of us here are probably familiar with, because they built the virtual worlds and venues for major festivals such as Venice, South by Southwest, New Images, etc. So we're still waiting for Maud.
It's close to noon or past noon in France. Here she is.
Yeah. Hello Maud. Bonjour.
Hello. Bonjour.
So I already introduced Kurt, and I introduced you as well. So we're about to start the conversation. In general, like the creative and cultural industries have undergone major shifts in recent years. There are at least two very important shifts. The first one is platformization, which is the rise of platforms. It's especially obvious for the audiovisual industries. And the second one is the rise of the creators' economy, which is a bit more obvious for us here. And I would like to start here actually with those two subjects, the platforms and the tools for the creators. The purpose of this talk is actually to discuss the current status and the transition we're going through and explain what are the possibilities for the creators participating in the workshop, those following us. So Kurt, let me start with you. You've built quite an extensive virtual world over the past 2 years. Even probably started even earlier.
Probably more than that, yes.
Yeah, probably a few more years.
Longer than that, yes.
And this is a place where people can work, they can play, they can meet, they can watch movies together, they can play sports, they can share all sorts of experiences with their friends. And in recent months, especially, we've seen a lot of companies releasing virtual worlds or proto-metaverses or mixed reality platforms, but focusing mostly on collaborative work. So it has to do, obviously, with the current situation and the need that people have to work together despite the challenge. But we've seen Facebook with Horizon Workrooms, HTC with ViveSync, Microsoft, and of course the solution of NVIDIA, which is Omniverse, which is like a metaverse for engineers. But from the creator's point of view, what are the opportunities offered by a platform like yours and the future platforms? What do you think what are the possibilities for creators?
Yeah. First, again, thanks for having me. And it's as you mentioned, actually, we're quite excited that the tech giants like the Facebook, NVIDIA, Microsoft all mentioned about this metaverse. It's huge right now. So, as I mentioned, we started working on the virtual world concept. Even started 4 years ago, and it was quite challenging. So when we see these tech giants start making the market to be aware of the virtual world, which is really great news for the industry. That's number one. Number two, as you mentioned, besides the collaborative works platform, there's also a movement I think it's moving towards favor for the content creator, which is, blockchain technology. Basically, the digital transactions via cryptocurrencies, which makes, digital creations accessible and giving the creators a chance to monetize on their creations. So I think that's very, very important. And that's why at XR Space, we actually launched a platform called GoXR. You know, basically, like its name, we're helping people who wants to create in 3D to really step into the XR industry, to the metaverse. So over here, in GoXR, for the creators, you not only offer your creations in artistry, storytelling, or game design, the more importantly is offering the freedom, the flexibility for your creation to be amplified. So for example, artists, you don't just create an object, but you get to create your own room, your own settings, your own lightings to really amplify your artwork. So that's what GoXR will be offering to the artistry. So I think it's really, really exciting. The idea of metaverse really going to release a lot of imaginations for the creators.
I think you talk about the blockchain and how to monetize and how artists get direct access to the viewers, and that reminds me of an example that I use a lot when we discuss about the metaverse at Taika. I think one very interesting example is how much the music industry has invested in this, because like music industry has had a complicated history with technology, but we see Warner has been investing so much money in some platforms companies, and Sony as well. So there's really a direction, like
Definitely. I think it's a movement. It's a big movement towards the metaverse for sure. You mentioned Sony Music invested in Epic Games, right? Building the metaverse from a gaming's perspective, but of course hosting music festivals or virtual concerts. So which I believe Mode here also has experience with.
And Maud, we spoke about music. You actually, one of your latest and one of the most impressive experiences you've delivered in recent months is actually the Jean-Michel Jarre concerts, organized like with the city of Paris, in Notre Dame. Can you tell us a bit more about the tools that you use? Actually, you work a lot with VR chat. Can you explain a bit your choice, the constraints, and what kind of tools you use? What about the workflow and what the things you're also experimenting with, maybe?
Sure. I will double answer your question then. First of all, for the tools we're using Unity. That is a game engine that works with VRChat. So we can build our world on Unity and then publish them on VRChat. It presents a lot of advantages and constraints at the same time. Because as it is a social virtual platform, you need to make very light worlds. And especially more when it needs to be Quest compatible for the headset. But it's accessible to all. Like VRChat, you can be anyone and publish your own world. So for the creative, there is a huge opportunity to learn on how to make design, 3D design, and partner with the developer who will know how to script your world and make interactivity in VRChat. And also there is a huge opportunity for anyone working in the performing arts industry, and you mentioned the music industry, to use the tool you use in real life and duplicate them in VR. For example, for Jean-Michel Jarre, we worked with Yvan Morandini, that is a light designer in real life, accompanying Jean-Michel Jarre since 4 years. And with his tools, we try to find a workflow that is working on Unity, so he could duplicate his real work in VR. And we had a very rich light settings in the Jean-Michel Jarre concerts, and it was very precious to have him. And we rarely have this collaboration between people working in the real industry and the gaming industry, and that's what is making everything so rich, and that creates new opportunity for any creator.
And we discussed about the changes undergone by the creative industries, but actually technology is also like undergoing like major like evolutions. I'm thinking for the things related to immersive content about cloud rendering, 5G, and the democratization of those technologies actually will impact the way we will design and share and consume those contents. So I'm curious for both of you, like how are you exploring actually those other technologies? I guess like it will, for every aspect of your work, it may actually have a huge impact, because I guess, for instance, like cloud rendering allows for much higher quality in terms of graphics, and it can be delivered through much lighter and cheaper devices as well. So how does it impact you, Kurt? First, maybe.
Yeah. So we couldn't agree more on the cloud rendering, the importance of it. In the future, or even the near future, as the device, we all talk about, device has to be mobile, has to get lighter and smaller, but it has to coincide with the development of the cloud rendering, which really then can mitigate pressure on the client side, on the device side, to handle all the rendering by itself. So yeah, when we design and developed experiences, we think about the future and modularize it, as I mentioned, from the space in 3D, avatars, objects, interactions. All these can be modularized, so it can be deployed to different platforms, different devices, not just VR, AR, PC, tablets, smartphone, you name it. And XR Space actually was founded by Mr. Peter Cho, who was the former CEO of HTC, who pretty much launched the first 3G phone, first 4G phone, and very, very working closely with operators around the world, including Orange. So we're always having in mind when we design and developed. And then again, we are also looking into cloud rendering, because again, metaverse is about visual, it's about contextual experience. So visual is very important, and if you have a high resolution rendering, then that definitely it's a technology that worth looking into.
And Maud, for you?
Sure. As I hear myself in my headphone, I put it this way. For me, of course, every technology that is going to be later for the headset, for the connection, for anything will help us. But in the meantime, we care a lot at Room to make our content accessible on all devices, and that's why broadcasting is so important to us. As for the Jean-Michel, we had 75 million views on our project because we've been careful about the way we produce and direct the film for 2D broadcasting on TV, the way we direct the 360 version of it that was very successful in Asia, and the music part in binaural for the radio and the virtual reality part. So yes, I'm looking forward to lighter technology, to all the telecoms and everyone that is working on that to ease the process. But I still believe to have a standardization of the device is not for too soon. Everybody will have the same device and everything. So I think to conceptualize every project on a multi-platform base and be careful about the live stream is important in the industry.
And I guess because everything is more social, it's also important to be able to capture more of the human, reaction, interaction, to make it more natural as well.
That's right. The other part that we think is very important is the avatars. In the metaverse, you basically are represented by your avatars. So if we talk about the importance of interaction, that means the emotional connections, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot in the avatar technology, from generation, right? Avatar generation from single pictures. You can get stylized or photorealistic type of avatars. And then there's real-time tracking, right? From motions to expressions, your eyeballs, your lips, your everything on your face. And then, of course, there's motion from your body to be able to do performances. That's also very important. And finally, there's also voice data, AI-driven voice data, where at GoXR we also offer a service where you can have your own AI digital agent, which basically, if you're offline, you can still have your duplicate self be able to forever reside in your metaverse and be able to say hello to your friends, and be able for artists, you can talk about your artwork, and so on. So yeah, avatar technology is also a very, very important area that we look into.
There's something very interesting that's been a bit at the center of our conversation in recent months with some of the people who want to work with Taiwan. 3 years ago, when I invited 3 or 4 years ago, when I invited some professionals, we had a conversation with people from Ministry of Culture, and what the French producers said is very interesting. They said, like, Taiwan has the most complete XR ecosystem in the world, from manufacturing to distribution. And now, like, for one of the projects that was supported by Taika, the reason why that creator wanted to work with Taiwan is because he realized that all the technologies that will propel the metaverse, or metaverse-like experiences, actually all the 5G component, all the components for low latency, sound, image, encoding, decoding, all that, the servers for cloud rendering, all that brings us closer to this zero latency cloud rendering. Like, everything is made in Taiwan, everything is designed and made in Taiwan. And so, Kurt, as someone with a Taiwanese company, do you think it's something that, well, you should leverage? Of course you do, but that the creators as well, the creative industries in Taiwan should leverage so they have this competitive advantage?
Yes, definitely. So, like I said, the rise of the metaverse is a very, very exciting time for Taiwan as a whole. As mentioned, we, from manufacturing side of things to technology development, Taiwan really offers a lot. Besides, people know that we work closely with all these big tech giants: Google, Facebook, Apple, for example, Foxconn makes pretty much all the iPhones in the world. But you're right. This is a huge opportunity for content creators. Again, at GoXR, when we will actually make an announcement on Thursday together with Taika, working with top museums in Taiwan, as well as more than 10 artists from Taiwan. The important is this. Taiwan also has a lot of 3D creatives, more than you can imagine, because Taiwan is also a big base for a lot of mobile games from the world. It mentioned Sony and all these game studios. They pretty much ask Taiwanese companies and teams to build these animations to characters, to game design, and so on. So this is a time where, in the metaverse, where these 3D creatives, they can really express themselves, their creativities, create their own IPs, and be able to amplify their creativities in the metaverse. So this is a really exciting time for the 3D creatives in Taiwan.
And Maud, what is your approach? Like, what kind of technologies, or what do you expect from the next 12 to 24 months at VR Room? What kind of technology do you want to leverage? What kind of tools are you waiting for, or what kind of opportunities?
We are waiting for many opportunities regarding the headsets, first of all, because we are tracking all the headsets that are in the market, and the one with eye tracking will be a key changer for us, because we do believe in, as you said, avatar performances, with a look watching the audience in the proper places, even though you have a banana avatar. I mean, the intention there is irreplaceable. So all those technologies that allows a higher performer acting, like motion cap suit. There is already Rococo and good brands, but maybe it could be even lighter and easier to dress on top of those mocap suits. The eye tracking, hand tracking, anything that is tracking the performer in a better way. And on the avatar side, I'm not waiting too much for the very realistic avatars, even though it will be there, but it is not yet, and it's very disturbing for the human brain to see a human that is almost realistic, but that is not. It's the problem on Sansar, a platform on which when you see people dancing, they look a bit weird because they look real and not real at the same time. So I really do believe there is an opportunity for creative to create new social codes in the metaverse, to create new appearances, new avatars, new ways to connect together, new intimacy with the stars, to have a lower audience in the virtual world also work as an intimacy system, because we cannot be more than 40 in a room in VR chat and then it duplicates. So yes, anything that makes the performer have a lighter system to perform in VR. Same with Jean-Michel Jarre. For his first concert, he performed with a virtual reality headset on his eyes. And the second time, he just did the motion capture with the screens broadcasting the audience in VR chat. And I wish that later on we would be able to have a very light headset plus motion cap bodysuit to have a really mind-blowing performance.
And to conclude, before we take the questions, I want to follow up on what Kurt said. Like, one thing that struck me when I visited some game studios here or 3D studios in Taiwan a few years ago is that they're working on very big IPs. Actually, like I've seen like some of them working on Final Fantasy, Resident Evil. Actually, the whole VR part of Resident Evil 6 was made like in Taiwan, and this is something people don't really know, and the capabilities are huge, and I think it goes back to the original idea and motivation of this workshop, which is really to put together people with very different backgrounds, different profile, and so they realize that actually there is everything here already to actually take the lead.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So that's why we want to encourage all these creatives that we talk about in Taiwan here. This is the time where you can, again, build your own IPs, right? You know, you can work independently and really unleash your creativity. You can speak for yourself loudly and proudly. And this is really, you know, again, an exciting time for the content creators.
So do we have some questions?
We actually got a question online. It says, how do Kurt and Moose think about the interest of institutions in the metaverse, for example, in France or in Taiwan? And what are they expecting from these agencies or institutions that support immersive creations or works?
Mode, do you feel there is an interest?
Yeah, I'm going to take this off again. So there is a lot of types of institutions in France, and of course the public institution. The striking example is recently the Ministry of Culture, Roselyne Bachelot, our minister. She saw a virtual reality piece called The Bal de Paris. She was very, very impressed, and she decided to have a special funding for virtual reality in culture for the upcoming 10 years, and it's 600 million euro, I guess. So it's quite an impressive move from the politics towards virtual reality. And we have more and more institutions jumping in the space prudently. They don't know too much about it, but they call the agency like us a lot to know what is going on. Also in the museum industry, how to save history through virtual reality, how to have a performing art patrimonial bank in the metaverse. So all those questions are raised by the institutions, but they are not like answered yet, and they are taking their time before jumping in fully.
And our view here is this: simply, we don't know. It's too early. I mean, the idea of this digital world is, first of all, you hear a lot about decentralization, right? So that's one way, definitely the movement towards that. In addition, you talk about the banks, the schools. I mean, a lot of, including these tech giants, we're all trying different things, and that's the beauty of this exciting journey of metaverse. Is people are trying different things. So I think, I don't want to play like I know it all, because we don't. And I think it's just a primitive stage where we need to try different things. But decentralization it's there using the blockchain technology, cryptocurrency. So that's basically our view at this point right now.
If I can say a few words on behalf of Taika, because this is actually a discussion that we've had for almost a year now. So there's definitely interest, and I think like the biggest challenge is probably this idea of having different ecosystems who don't really speak the same language, and to connect them together and to kind of translate what they try to say. We got a very interesting case actually that will be shown at TCCF this year, which is called Bedlam. It's powered by tools which are completely relevant for the metaverse, and what's interesting with this case is that it's really it made us understand that what creators are doing can be a very strong case for technology which are already ready, but they don't have the application, or they don't know that they have the application. So actually this shows that there is maybe a way of working together which serves both sides. It's not just the creators who benefit from the technology, but actually some of the technology which is ready, and maybe it's just on the shelves waiting for having a case. Actually like 5G headsets, like there are experiences, the tools are already here, Cloud XR is already here. And those things are working, and that's where it becomes interesting, because when creators and the industry works together, like they both have a very strong competitive advantage. And another thing that I think for the French side that is interesting is that there was a paper, a series of articles published in Libération a few months ago, and I think something that they got really right is that they say like we need, like France need to, like react. Because like a lot of major players, Facebook, of course, are positioning themselves, and they talk about openness, but it's very unlikely that openness will be at the heart of the project. And this is what's happening now, is shaping the future of the internet and the way we actually try those experiences. And I think that was, of course, very relevant for France, which is investing in immersive content and which has the capability to deliver these kind of experiences. But this is even more relevant for Taiwan, because Taiwan has a huge advantage, because the hardware is here, the people who can design and produce the hardware are here. So actually we have quite a good quick start, but we need to be aware of the opportunity.
We have another question online. It says that for some people, they view metaverse as an escape. They may escape from the real world violence or real world problems and escape into that. But on the other side, some people may escape from the real world and become criminals in the metaverse in that case. How do you think that could happen, Sans? What do you think do you think any kind of regulation will come into the metaverse in that case?
So again, at this point, I think the metaverse can be anything. That's the beauty of it. Again, so we talked about the artist, about creator economy, about storytellers, game designer. Games obviously is the forefront of this movement. Criminal. I guess once you have gamifications, you have different social status, you have cryptocurrencies, you have wallets, then crime can be committed. But at this point, it's too early, and we can talk about the metaverse is the duplicate of the real world, only better, right? So I guess then we would just have to have a more powerful virtual police to capture these criminals. Then that's my answer for now.
Can I answer too?
Of course.
Okay. On my point of view, for the moment, we have many virtual reality, like social virtual reality platforms they're not connected yet between themselves. One day they might be. So for the moment, the regulations, they are on each platform, and to have a global metaverse regulation is going to be something very long and very hard because it's international and even more than international. But for now, in my experience, for example, as someone working on VR chat, that is a platform that does exist, they have some rules that if someone is harassing you, you can keep this person off of the world. So maybe there will be easier police statement to kick people out of the metaverse if they commit several cyber crimes or if they harass people. I'm quite sure we will find some ways to block those people. And you were talking about escaping in the metaverse. It's quite true also. We are producing at Boom an artist that was a bullied kid and that didn't want to show himself anymore in the real world and to perform as the DJ in the real world. So he decided to be an avatar forever and to do his DJ performances in the metaverse. So that questions like your relationship to the real world and how it goes. On the contrary, we had a paraplegic Japanese dancer that would perform for us because thanks to body tracking, he can pretend to move his legs through some hacking trackers on his hand and shoulders, and he plays it a different way. And this is a very great hope because he cannot move in real life. He can be a dancer in virtual. So we have both situations, and it's a complex topic.
But just let me add a couple of points. All kidding aside, but I think data privacy and security should be there, always be there. And we talk about Web 3.0 and the openness of the metaverse. So that's something that should be there. When we develop our platform, there's always with the mind of, for example, reporting system and real-time moderators, that kind of stuff. So basic mechanism should be there for people to feel safe and secure within the metaverse. So that's at least that's our point from here.
Thank you very much. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Kurt. I think that's the time that we have for the session today. And for tomorrow's, our French professionals will have to have one-on-one meetings with our creative studios in Taiwan as well. And any last reminders for everyone?
Yes, there is a Q&A session with Taika tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Paris time for the 12 French professionals, followed by the one-on-one meetings. And don't forget that you received an invitation to subscribe to TCCF, so you can register and arrange meetings online during the festival, which starts this Wednesday. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us online and here with us today. Thank you.